Hey everybody, it's William with Scamming Scammers on the Facebook page, Scamming Scammers Action. I just wanted to do a live stream, let everybody get set up into our live feed, and we'll go ahead and do it. So we were live on YouTube, or excuse me, we were live on Facebook, and it was not working. So we're going to try to go live here on YouTube and answer your guys' questions. So I apologize if you guys were trying to reach us on Facebook. Anytime we tried to log into Facebook to do a live stream, Facebook said there was an error message and to try again later. We tried about 17 different times from the last 45 minutes, and we were unable to do our live stream on YouTube or on Facebook. So we moved over here because Facebook sucks. So let's just be honest. So I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us. Thanks for hopping over on YouTube. I apologize for those of you who are waiting for us on Facebook. We could not get it to load. So here we are. We're going to answer some questions. I had about 15 questions that you guys wrote in and wanted some topics covered. I will say that tomorrow night, we're going to come back live on YouTube and call some scammers. That'll be something we'll do tomorrow, kind of an informal Q&A. But this Q&A is the one that we usually do on Facebook, and since there was a Facebook issue, again, we're going to do it live here on YouTube. So thanks everyone for joining us. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them in the chat bar, and as soon as I see the questions, I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. We had some people write in, and so we'll get started in just a second. I wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it is you celebrate, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you go for. Christmas is coming up really soon, and I hope you guys have a great, safe, and healthy Christmas. We will be doing more live streams, of course, in 2021, and hopefully next year will be better for us than it was this year, hopefully. So, hi, everyone who's joining us. I'll get started. The first question someone wrote in and asked us, and we're going to be covering a lot of topics. The first question that was asked was, I was talking to a man online who I later found out was a scammer. He would send me songs by the band Westlife and say that it was our song and our band. I noticed other ladies who are victims were given the same song. Does this mean it's the same scammer or a group of scammers working together? So that's a great question. We often hear people will say to us, I was talking to a man online, he turned out to be fake, but he sent me the song, and it's always by the band Westlife, and they're kind of like a pop band. They do a lot of romantic songs. It doesn't mean it's the same scammer or the same group of scammers. What it basically means is you're dealing with a scammer who's following a script. All of them follow a script. A lot of them are given songs to send to women who they're trying to scam online. So a lot of times you'll see the Westlife songs, or you'll see like the Titanic theme song. That's another popular one. And what they're doing is they're just following a script. They're told what songs to send to victims that will touch them emotionally. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same scammer. It just means that it's they're just a scammer that's following a pretty standard scamming script. So I hope that answers your question. Hi to everyone who's coming in the chat. Hi Faye, good to see you. I'm glad you were here. Glad you're here with us. Much love to you as well. Another page couldn't start their Facebook Live either. I think it's just Facebook. They've done a lot of upgrading, and it's just total garbage now. So we just kind of go with the flow. Question: how accurate is the page Truth Finder? Any of those sites that pay, a lot of them you have to pay to get information. And Truth Finder is another one of those that are kind of we'll find the information on the person. Really, any of those people search sites like Truth Finder, People Finder, any of that offers to find people. If you're looking for a person you're talking to online that you think is a fake, keep in mind that a lot of those sites will not be useful to you. And the reason I'm saying this is because the name that the person is giving you that you're talking to is going to be a fake name. So when you go to a search site that looks for people, the name is fake, so you're not going to find that person. You're not going to find the information. Most scammers use voicemail numbers, so that number is not going to be able to be traced online as far as who it belongs to. So it's those I don't recommend if you're looking for a possible fake profile. So I recommend just doing your homework, Googling the photos, Yandex search the photos, look through that type of thing to try and find who the person is. But keep in mind, anything a person tells you that's a fake, it's a scammer, none of it that they told you is true. Nothing about them is true, from their life story to their name to their birthday to where they live, their kid's name. It's all garbage. So search sites like that are not going to give you the information you need. Any fun ways to scam the social security number phone calls? We might do some phone calls later. I kind of was going to do a little bit of a serious Q&A, and this is the ones that we do on Facebook that are usually more serious. People wrote in questions, but we might make this a little long, and maybe we could try and call some scammers as Betty. I'm going to do a live Q&A tomorrow night here on Facebook or here on YouTube as well, which will give us the ability to just call scammers, is what we usually do our Saturday fun night. So, okay, next question we had somebody ask. I met a man online who told me he sent me a package and I had to pay for the tax and shipping. I told him I didn't want a package, but he said I have to take it and pay for it or I will be arrested. What can I do? I don't want the package in the first place. So it's called a package scam. And what happens is scammers with fake profiles will romance you and they'll say, honey, I sent you a package. It's got jewelry, it's got rings and money and all kinds of goodies, but the shipping company needs you to pay for the shipping or whatever. Keep in mind there'll be no package. So let's start off with that. There is no package, there is no gift, there is no courier company, there is no delivery company, there's no special prize you're going to get. It's just part of the scam. As far as being arrested, nobody has been arrested for not picking a package up from a courier company. So if a scammer is telling you, hey, you're going to be arrested if you don't pick up that package or the courier company, it's just a scam. No one can force you to do something, especially picking up a package. So what I would recommend is you just block the person. Don't pay any money. Don't worry about being arrested. You're not going to be arrested, and don't count on that package because there'll be no such package. So you really don't have a whole lot to worry about in that. Just block the person. And it all comes down to no one is forcing you to do something you don't want to do. So just keep that in mind. Merry Christmas. Hi, everybody coming in. And again, if you need help, this is great. If you need help, you have a question about a person you're talking to, or you need some assistance, you can find us on Facebook under the page Scamming Scammers Action. You can also drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. Anna and myself will take a look at it. One of us will try and help you. So if you need help, just bring all the information you have to either our Facebook page or to an email, and we'll answer and help you as soon as we can. Next question we had from someone wrote, I found out I was talking to a scammer, not the man in the pic. You guys have shown me he's fake and that I was indeed talking to a scammer. The problem is I can't stop talking to him. And he writes me poems and sends me songs and tells me I'm beautiful, but then asks me for iTunes cards and money. I just feel addicted. What can I do? This happens quite often. You'd be surprised how many people find out they're talking to a scammer and then they keep talking to the scammer because they miss and they want and crave that social interaction, that love interaction. The best thing I can tell you, you shouldn't have to pay somebody in money or gift cards to send you romantic songs or tell you you're beautiful. You're paying somebody to tell you that, and you shouldn't. What I recommend, I know it's addicting, it's like a real relationship. So you get addicted to talking to this person, and when they're gone, you're really mourning the loss of that relationship. What I tell people and what Ann tells people is give yourself time, mourn the relationship, break it off, end it. Do not contact the scammer. The more you stay in contact with a scammer, even if it's to tell him off or even it's just to tell him you miss the relationship, they feed on that. And so if you are completely silent, silence is the best thing to do, because they will go away, they'll move on to another victim, and you will have time to heal. So you have to heal from it. It's a process. The relationship felt real to you. You need to heal and mourn from that relationship. But above all, don't contact the scammer. It is imperative you don't contact him, even if you want to tell him to jump off a cliff. It's not healthy. You just need to block him and go away and move on with your life. And it'll take time, but stop all contact. I've been having scammers here on YouTube. Yeah, we've had a lot of scammers posting on our page, our YouTube channel. I delete probably 100 comments a day from scammers writing garbage. I was scammed by a scammer I met on Facebook who had a fake page. In the end, he admitted he was a young black man from Ghana. I confirmed this through video chat with him. Can I find any more information? I mean, not really. I mean, a lot of them do confess. A lot of them will say, look, I wouldn't think you'd love me because of how I look or, where I'm from. And they often do that. It's not uncommon. A lot of people think, oh, wow, he confessed to me. Well, scammers confess to a lot of people, and then they turn around and they tell you things like, I've never scammed before. I'll never do it again. Your love saved me. I can't live without you. I didn't think you'd like me because I'm from Ghana. I want to be with you. You know who he is. And even if you had his full name, address, and birth date and where he lived, I mean, the police will do nothing about it, unfortunately. So the best thing you can do is stop all contact with him, because he will try to scam you as himself. And a lot of people do fall victims to scammers after they've confessed. They think that the scammer really loves them, and then they end up falling victim to the scammer all over again. So block them, stop talking to him. There's nothing you can really do to stop him from scamming. There's nothing you can do to change him. A scammer is a scammer. It's just the way it's going to be. So, but yeah, they do confess. They confess quite often, sadly. So hi, everyone joining us. Merry Christmas. Hi, good to see some of our regulars. I appreciate all you guys commenting. And again, we will be doing another Q&A tomorrow here on YouTube. Our one tomorrow is just more of a fun calling scammers and playing with people and things like that. So, but I want to let you guys know, Anne did say hello. She's probably watching from home. She just finished working our Facebook inbox, which was extremely busy in the last few days. I do have kind of a weird announcement to make, which is kind of, it's not set in stone yet, but I tried out for the game show Let's Make a Deal. And I did a casting call for it, and I'm waiting on a call back. So if I'm on, which, you know, hopefully I will be, I'll let you guys know when it will air and if I'm on or what happens, and you guys can watch it. But I did try out for the show, and my idea was to dress up as Betty for the show. So I'll let you guys know. That's kind of like a good thing that's happened in my life for a change. But yeah, and I wanted to just take a minute to tell you I appreciate you guys, all your thoughts and prayers and what's going on with my mom. She's still really sick. And unfortunately, on Christmas Eve day, she has an appointment with an oncologist to find out how far gone the cancer is that she has. We think the worst because it's been there for a long time, and she wasn't getting treated. So we don't know how it'll turn out, but we're just kind of taking one step at a time. And I appreciate all your thoughts and prayers, and for all of you guys being so kind to me during this time, because it's been really hard. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't made a lot of videos like I usually do, because I've just been dealing with everything going on with that. So it's been really it's been tough. I haven't had a lot of humor lately to pretend to be Betty, so that's the reason why I haven't been doing a ton of Betty videos. But I will get back to it. So next question we have, someone wrote in, do you think the new year will be worse for scammers, or do you think people are becoming more educated? I think every year gets worse. As technology gets better and scammers get more tools to scam, it's getting worse and worse. I think 2021 will be no different. With the pandemic, you know, we don't know how it's going to go this next year, and if people are getting back to work or if they're getting more assistance. I think that it'll just get worse. So we need to be smart about it. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, how can someone not know about scammers? And it's like, it happens all the time. There's people that are just learning about romance scams and they're a victim. They don't know. So it's definitely, you know, something you just need to become educated about. And I think it's just going to get worse and worse. They're branching out into LinkedIn. They're going on to a lot of sites that they normally weren't on in the past. So I think it's going to get worse. Donna, a question, do military get to leave the base? Yes. I actually worked on a military base. I worked on a U.S. naval base, and yes, they get to leave base. We had about a mile from where I worked, there was a bar, and those Navy guys were in that bar every weekend. They do get to leave base. They get to go shopping. A lot of them shop on the commissary, but yeah, they do. They can leave the base. They're not trapped there like hostages. And they do get their money and everything else. So if you're talking to someone, they're saying they can't leave the base, you're talking to a scammer for sure. Why Steam cards, Google cards? Do they cash them in or what? They do. They definitely do. Steam cards, it's interesting. I have a friend that streams on Twitch. He's a very well-known gamer, and he streams on Twitch all the time. And he told me that scammers will actually sell game cards to gamers on Twitch. And so what they'll do is they'll get a $100 game card from a victim. They'll sell it for $75 to a hardcore gamer on a site like Twitch, where everyone's like playing video games, and they'll buy it and they'll get it PayPal the money to them, or they'll get the money transferred through one of the cash apps or whatever. So they do trade them in for cash. Same with, you know, the Google Play cards. They use them on their own phones sometimes to upload and use them to buy apps, to buy different things, different sites. there's a use for them. A lot of them are traded for cash though, but a lot of them are used. Like same with iTunes cards, they'll use them just to upload music to their iPhones. Every scammer I've ever known has the latest iPhone, so they use that as well. How do they hack the mail accounts? I mean, how do they hack any accounts? A lot of times they don't necessarily hack them. Sometimes what will happen is you'll get involved with a scammer. You'll start talking to a scammer, and they'll ask you for your passwords for your Gmail, or, oh, let me set up Hangouts for you. What's your Gmail password? People give them. What they don't realize is that a lot of times they'll get into people's Facebooks and Instagrams with those passwords, because people make all their passwords the same, or they'll change their passwords and have it sent out as a code, and they'll lock you out of your email. Change your password to your social media and get into your accounts. So it comes down to not giving people your passwords. Don't hand out your email address to people you don't know. So many people do this. My advice to anybody is, if you are talking online and you want to start like online dating, and red flag, someone's talking to you on the site and they don't want to talk to you, and they want you to email, use it. Make an email address just for talking to people that are online. And that's what you should do. You should have a separate email address for just strangers online, and your email for your friends, family, and your business. That's the best way to do it. Do I get many male victims? Yes, we do. We get a lot of male victims. It's probably, I would say, 60% female, 40% male. A lot of times male victims do not want to come forward, and they're a little bit ashamed. In fact, I helped a guy yesterday who was a victim of a scam, and he was ashamed. He's like, I really don't want to tell you what happened. And I had to, talk to him like, hey, it's okay. I'm not judgmental, whatever. And he finally came out and talked about it. I think, guys are more ashamed. They don't want people to know they were scammed. It's just kind of a cultural thing. But yes, we do have a lot of male victims, unfortunately. You shouldn't have to pay for an update. And if someone's telling you they need to pay for an update on their phone, or they need to pay to upload their phone, it's likely a scammer. I've had iPhones, Anne's had iPhones. I have an Android now, and no, we've never had to pay to update a phone. So it's likely a scammer. So which base were you on? I'm talking to one who said he was a naval aviator. I lived in California for a lot of years. I actually worked at Moffett Field back when it was a naval air base. This was back in the day. I'm a lot older than people think I am. So this was going back over 20 years ago. And I worked at Moffett Field in Mountain View, California. And I was out there for a while. I worked on the base, and I wasn't in the military. I was a civilian that worked on the base. But if you're talking to a naval aviator, a lot of these military guys that are, Navy, Army, Marines, they're not generally on social media. I can tell you from my own experience of living near a naval base that those guys are at the bar. They want romance. They want to pick up a woman. They went to the bar. They didn't go on, and military guys are the same now as they were 20 years ago. They're still, they still go to clubs and bars and things like that. So I would be very suspicious that you might be talking to a scammer. So hi, everyone is joining us. I'm trying to catch all these comments. Thank you for your prayers. I appreciate it. I'm sorry to hear that you've been there with your own mother. It's really hard. It's frustrating too. If you've ever dealt in America with the medical field, our medical system is just a joke. So it's been very, very frustrating. But thank you. I really appreciate it. And you're one of our regulars, so I appreciate it. Is the phrase "you're on my head" a Nigerian saying? I've heard it before. It's definitely not an American saying. So yeah, I would say it is. I've heard it before from some Nigerian scammers as well. You used to go to St. James Infirmary. I used to go to St. James Infirmary. I might know you. I used to go there before it burned down. And they had the giant lady statue, the 50-foot woman in the bar. I used to go to St. James quite often. I'd go there for lunch. So I might know you. that's true. So, all right, we have another question someone wrote in. I've never met anyone who's gone to St. James, so that really freaks me out. Did I get a response from any of the IM? All right, delete it. All right. Next question somebody asked. You guys talk about doctors, UN peacekeeping, military engineers, and oil rig, but what about a person saying they're geologists? I've been talking to a man who says he's a gemologist, and wants to fly out to meet me after his contract. Is this a new profession? No. Um, there's a particular man. He is from Taiwan. Scammers love his photos. I don't know his real name. He's on Instagram. I found his Instagram a couple years ago, and he has like 50,000 followers. He has thousands of posts. He works in gemology and rare stones and things like that. He's a legit person, but he's not online talking to women. He's married. He's from Taiwan. Scammers have stolen all his photos, and they pretend to be a gemologist. And the reason they do that is because this man in particular has tons of photos of himself with gemstones and all different kinds of things like that. So gemology is not it's a fairly new thing that they're doing, but there are scammers that say they're gemologists, and it's often a photo of an Asian man that they use, and the real man's not talking to anybody online. So if you're talking to somebody that's a gemologist, it could be that particular stolen photo from that particular guy, and I would recommend blocking them. You have to keep in mind that people like military and doctors and gemologists, and they follow their little circle. They're not particularly going out on the internet looking for romance. I'm going to send you some photos. Okay, yeah. Scamming@gmail.com. You can send whatever. I'll take a look. If anyone wants to send anything, you can do it that way. Shirley's supposed to support of you, made me laugh through this difficult experience. Can you share how you became involved in the scammer world? Sure. So it's kind of an odd story, and I've told it a couple times. So back in the late 90s, like 97, 98, I had what we used to call a web TV. If you guys remember web TV, this is how old I am. We had web TV, and I used to go online, and I got involved with just moderating chat rooms. And we used to kick out scammers and trolls and fake people. And that's about my extent that I knew about scammers and Nigerian, particularly scammers from like Yahoo. And then I came across Anne's page in 2014. And what happened was a friend of mine actually was following her page, and someone had sent a message saying, hey, your friend's following this scam page. And it was kind of a weird little deal that they had going on. But I looked and learned a lot from her page, and then we just started talking, and that's how I started getting into dealing with scammers. So I've been doing this since 2014. But prior to that, I messed with scammers on Yahoo. I messed with them on web TV and chat rooms. I started in like the late 90s, early 2000s on Yahoo Messenger, and I used to, play with them there. So I kind of knew a little bit about romance scamming, but I learned a lot from Anne. She pretty much taught me everything that there is to know about them. But that's how I got started, pretty much. Did I get any response back from any of the immigration? Depends on what you're talking about. I'm dealing with a lot of different things with immigration, even with myself. So let me know which immigration you mean, and I'll answer. Has anything happened with your reports made on Mail George? No, I got a response from Wells Fargo Bank, their security services. They thanked me for the information and said they would contact me. I actually gave them my real phone number, and if they needed anything, they would contact me, and they haven't yet. So it's been about a month. They're probably just looking into it. But I gave them a lot of information, so they may not come in contact with me. I know his profile was deleted by Tagged after it was reported, and I know his phone number he was using is no longer working. So he kind of ran off. He's probably just scamming as somebody new, but I'm hoping that the bank will take the information seriously. A strange question, but I'm having my photos stolen by a different scam. How do I get this taken down? Twitter isn't doing anything unless I send my ID. I'm not comfortable with that. It's hard. You have to show your ID. Like, I've been locked out of my own Facebook page that I've had for 12 years, and I had to show my ID to get my Facebook page back. So the only thing you can do is show your ID to Twitter, and that's usually the only way you can get it taken care of. And keep in mind, once your photos are stolen, even if you got one profile removed, scammers will make 100 more. It's kind of like a big nest. You can't get them all removed. It's really hard to do. So my advice to you would be to just upload your ID as much as you don't want to do it, and that's the only way you're going to stop them, because they'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. At least Twitter will have an idea of what's going on, and then they can start deleting the profiles. But it's kind of a endless battle. Oh man, Nigeria, Malaysia. I didn't get. I got a response from the Malaysian immigration. They just thanked me for the information, but they haven't said anything else. And then Nigerian government said nothing. And usually they take about 3 or 4 months before they'll respond. But if I do hear anything, I will let you know. I know what you're talking about now. So. Do you ever have scammers confront you online? Yes. I had one the other night. It's kind of funny. I'll tell a story. I was recording a voice chat. I was going to do it as Betty. And we talked, said hello a few times, asked him, "What are you doing?" And he never responded. He would never like use his voice. And so I talked to him just one-sided on voice chat for a few minutes. And hi, everybody. And he texted me and he said, "I know that voice. I know who you are." And he started just screaming at me, telling me he was going to murder me and all kinds of stuff. He actually recognized my voice from my voice chats. So he knew that I was playing with him. He knew I was Betty. And so he told me off and told me, "Don't you post me on your scam page and I'll kill you," and all sorts of stuff. So it was kind of funny that, but yeah, I've had scammers confront me. We've had scammers come to our scam page and say, "We're going to kill you and you better take down my fake profile," all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. But that's what happens. They get angry, and so they do come after you. But we just ignore them. Are scammers in Jamaica and in some other United States too? Immigrants? Yeah, there's scammers all over. There's a lot of scammers in Jamaica. They do the Publishers Clearinghouse scams. That's one of their more popular ones, or the lottery scams. Definitely, there's scammers all over. There's scammers in every country. There's scammers in the U.S. We've caught in a few, but most of them are overseas. A lot of them are in like India, Nigeria, Malaysia, Pakistan, Thailand, Indonesia. But there are. Yeah, one of the scammers knew Betty. He recognized the voice and he says, "I know who you are. Don't you put me on your scam page." So why can't social media do more to protect the victims? Because they don't care. Like Facebook could care less. Facebook is all about making money. They're a monopoly, and so they allow scammers to operate on their platforms openly. We've reported groups that are openly trading credit card numbers online on Facebook, and Facebook said it doesn't go against their standards. So there's a responsibility that should fall on social media, but it doesn't. They don't care. They got money, they got power, and they've shut us down a few times just for educating people about scammers. That's the sad part. But it happens a lot. They just don't care. They just want to make money. It's all about money. So the Great Gust. Did you take them off? Not sure what that means. Next question we have. Someone asked, "What's the best way to break things off with someone after finding out they are a fake and a scammer? Is there a better way than another, or do I just confront them?" Don't confront them. Especially because you don't know who they are. You don't know what kind of scammer they are. They could be really nasty. They could be very educated as far as hacking and harassment and stuff. The best thing you can do if you know you're talking to a scammer is to block them. Don't confront them. Don't tell them you know. Don't tell them off. Don't do anything. Just block them. Block them on social media. Block them on WhatsApp or wherever you're talking to them, and then just walk away. It's not good to confront them. It's not good to play with them. It's not good to taunt them. It can land you in a world of trouble. They could come after you. They could harass you till the end of time. Even if you're in a relationship with them, just block them. Block them is the best thing you can do. Just block them and get them out of your life. So next question somebody asked us was, "I know it's been talked about before, but can you tell me why scammers using fake profiles ask if you've eaten? It's so annoying. Have you eaten? Have you taken your food?" That is annoying. Sorry, my camera's blurring out. That is very annoying. Basically, a lot of scammers. Okay, let's back up. Scammers that are from places like West Africa, and even really in all of Africa. If you've ever been to like Kenya or Ethiopia and stuff, it's a common question for them to ask, "Have you eaten today?" or "Have you taken your food?" It's just a common question that they ask, and it's like Americans asking, "How you doing?" And so a lot of Africans will say that to you. I have friends from Nigeria and friends from Ghana, and they will actually say to you, "Have you eaten today?" And they don't mean it in any other way other than to ask. When scammers ask, there's two reasons for it. One, because it's a common question they ask in their country. Two, they do it because they want to show you they care about you. They care if you've eaten. They want to know if you've eaten, and that's why they ask. It's for them to show compassion. And it's a way for them to make you think that they care about them. So. Why can't I delete Hangouts? You should be able to. Just there's some really easy steps on Google. If you just put how to delete Hangouts, it'll tell you how to do it. On your phone, you have to take the entire app out of your phone. Same with on a computer, you just delete everything off of it. Delete Hangouts totally. But if you use Gmail, Hangouts generally is in the corner of your Gmail. You can't really get rid of it that way, but you can turn it off. You can definitely turn it off so you don't have to use it. So that's another way to do it. What if I chat you up later? What about I will chat? Yeah, they say I'll chat you up. They'll say I'll hit you up, chat you up later. They'll also say chart instead of chat, which is kind of a weird thing. But they'll say I'll chart you up later. It's a bizarre kind of thing that they say. But yeah, that's common for scammers in certain West African countries to say I'll chat you up later. And you have to keep in mind, if you're talking to somebody that is a white-haired businessman from Texas and he sits there and tells you he's going to hit you up or chat you up later, it doesn't match the person, so it's going to be a scammer. I've been told a friend who keeps getting random marriage proposals on Instagram to block, but she can never resist to wind them up, but gets more. What on earth can I tell her to stop? Sometimes it can be addicting to talk to the scammers and play with them. I mean, I mess with them, but I've been doing it for a long time. So is Anne, and we have steps we do to protect ourselves for the most part. It's an addiction. It's an addiction like anything. And maybe you need to tell her, to be careful that a lot of these people are nasty. A lot of these people can be hackers. They can have connections in your country, in your state, wherever you live, and they can come after you if you make them angry. It happens. It happens a lot. And so she has to know that she's playing with fire. It's dangerous, and she can have a lot of things happen to her. So she needs to be very, very, very careful. At the end of the day, it's up to her, but she should be blocking these people, not playing games with them. Hi, Deanna. Hi, everybody that I've missed. Gene, the computer won't let you. If you're using Google Chrome, it probably won't let you delete Hangouts. The best thing you can do is turn it off. There's a settings in Gmail that you can turn off Hangouts. It's a little button in advanced settings. If you want to drop me an email, I can get you some instructions. If you want to email me at scammingscammers@gmail, I'll give you some instructions on how to do it, because I had to do it with one of my profiles because I kept getting harassed by a scammer. So, but it's really easy to do. Next question we have. These are questions that people wrote into our Facebook that we didn't get a chance to answer. I met a woman online who asked for my bank information because she wants to send me some money. She wants to be my girlfriend and for me to invest the money into buying a house for us. How could this be a scam? I gave her my bank information. So never give anybody your bank information. And I'm going to say this. No one in all of my years of living, and I've been on this planet for quite a while, no one has ever bought me a house. And so if you're talking to somebody online that you've never met, and they want to buy you a house because they want you to be with you, and then they want you to give them your bank information, what they're using your bank for is a money mule, some money. So they may very well send you a lot of money, and they'll ask you to take that money out. We've had victims that have gotten $100,000 dropped in their bank account, and the scammer has said, keep 80,000 and send 20,000 forward. They're using you as a money mule. And what happened was that deposit bounced. It was fraud. And that person was liable for $100,000. So the best thing you can do is never give your bank account information to anybody, and really stop and think, who in their right mind, who's legit, is going to buy you a house? Nobody's going to buy you a house. Nobody's going to buy you a car. It doesn't work that way. People don't buy you things. I mean, like I said, I've never had anybody buy me a house. I don't live in a house. I'd love to live in a house, but I don't have anybody buy me one. And so you don't either. You're talking to a scammer who's using you as a money mule. So I would change my bank information right away as well, because you're likely having your stuff being used to mule money. Next question we had was, I notice I'm getting friend requests from people whose photos I do not recognize as being stolen ones. Does this mean it's okay to accept their friend requests? No. No. So scammers are using photos of people we don't know. We're always used to seeing Dr. Pinto and, Steve D. Jones and Stuart James. But scammers are stealing photos of people that are just normal. Like, they're stealing photos of your neighbor Bob that you don't even know who he is. He's not going to show up on a search site because it's just a photo of a random person that's not popular or not famous or not known. You should never accept friend requests from people that you don't know. And yeah, I mean, my Facebook page, I have less than 100 friends. They're people that I either have worked with, that are relatives, or that I personally know. Don't accept a friend request from a person you don't know. And you can chat to them without taking their friend request. You can message them and say, who are you? And get to know them that way before you actually accept their friend request. And that's the best way to do it, so that you don't end up talking to and friending a scammer. And then while he's your friend, he takes all of your information and stuff. So the best thing you can do is just talk to the person, or if you don't know them and they look suspicious, just block them. You're not missing out on anything. So, puppy scams are up this year. As for relationship scammers, I block suspicious friend requests. Very glad I'm off the market. Yeah, puppy scams are huge this year because of the pandemic. People are adopting dogs, and the ASPCA, a lot of places, there's no dogs to adopt because people have done it. And so puppy scammers are moving through the pandemic trying to get people to do that. So, is there any way to watermark or mark your photos online? Absolutely. You can, but it does you no good. So let's talk about that. People steal photos, and so what happens is people will watermark their photos. You can go to a site called Pizap. It's pizap.com. You can upload your photos there for free, and you can put watermarks on them. You can put backgrounds on them. You can put your name on them and then watermark it across the photo. But what happens is, even if you watermark your photos, scammers will actually steal those photos and put a sticker over it. There's a guy named Inked Watkins. He's on Instagram. He watermarks all his photos. And what scammers do is they put a happy face over it, a sticker, or they write something over it, or they cover up the name. And a lot of times they'll even use his name and say, oh, that was my friend in the military. He watermarked my name for me so I don't, get my photos stolen by scammers. So it doesn't really, it helps, but it doesn't help because scammers always find a way to do that. It's the same theory as when a scammer will steal a video. So we've had people like George Kozma and Dr. Pinto make videos saying, hey, I'm not the man in the photo. People are stealing my photos. They've done all these, informational videos. Scammers steal those videos, mute the voice, dub over the voice with their own voice, and send it to scammers. So it's helpful in a way that they're telling people they're not the people in the photo, but it's giving scammers ammunition to make videos with their photos. So it's kind of a tough situation. There's no way to stop someone from using your photos other than keeping your profile locked down. If you have Instagram, it's all about making photos, but like Facebook and stuff, you can set everything to private. Make your profile photo an inanimate object or a dog. Like my Facebook is always like a dog or an inanimate object like a car. I never put my real photo in public very often. It's just not something you should do. Thank you for the kind words. Who the heck is this Dr. Pinto I keep hearing about? Dr. Pinto. Okay, so there's a guy named Dr. Fernando Nomes Pinto, and he is a Brazilian doctor. He has a website, and he has lots of photos. He also, I believe, has an Instagram. Scammers have stolen his photos, and they use them to create fake profiles. So I'll give you an example. If we get 300 inboxes a day of fake profiles that people send us, 75 of them are photos of Dr. Pinto being used. So he is kind of the new it guy for scammers to use his photos. And so the real man is not online talking to women. He's made videos telling people, hey, I'm not online. This is not me. And scammers have actually stolen that video and went ahead and dubbed over it, and they're sending it to victims. So the real Dr. Pinto is not online talking to women. But he's very popular with scammers to use his photos. About 10 years ago, there was a man named Hubertus, and everybody used his photos. And 9 out of 10 profiles on dating sites were photos of Hubertus. Well, now it's Dr. Pinto. So he's a victim of photo theft, and he's just very popular amongst scammers right now, unfortunately. A year from now, it'll be somebody else that they're using. But Dr. Pinto's the most popular man in scammer worlds right now. Next question we have. I'm talking to a man online who says he was born and raised in Germany. He tried to speak German to me as I am also from Germany, but his German was very poor and looked copied and pasted. Why would a scammer bother trying to pretend to be from another country? So they do this often. They'll pretend to be Polish and they'll use a translator app to type Polish to people. And if you speak Polish, you know that, translate. If you speak any other language, you know that translator apps don't always interpret the language correctly, and it doesn't interpret slang words and certain ways that certain people talk. So what happens is these scammers will pretend to be from Germany and they'll use a translator app, and it sounds like they're an idiot. And so the reason they do this is a couple of reasons. Some scammers will target certain victims from certain parts of the world. Like you may have a scammer who wants to only target ladies from Germany. You'll have a scammer that only wants to target women from South Africa. So what happens is they say they're from places like Germany, Poland, Spain, as an excuse to cover up their accents. So if you have to talk to them on the phone, they will tell you, oh, I was born in Sweden, but my father was French, and I went to boarding school in Spain. And so I have a weird accent. And so people believe that, unfortunately, and they think, oh, well, they'll come to us and they'll say, well, he had a Spanish-Polish accent. And I'll say, have you ever talked to a Polish person? And they'll say no. And I'll say, let me listen to his voice. And I'll listen to it and I'll say, that's a Nigerian. And they'll say, well, how do you know? I said, because it's a Nigerian. You just know the accent if you talk to Nigerians often. And so scammers use that excuse. They'll say they're born in one country, raised in another, parents were from a different country, went to boarding school in a third country. And a lot of times they'll pick countries where you may have not have ever talked to somebody from that country. Like, we've had scammers say they were from Latvia or Estonia. And so if you've never spoken to somebody from there, you might think that scammer's accent is someone from, say, Estonia. But when in reality, that's not how someone sounds from that country. The best thing you can do in that situation, if you're talking to somebody online and they're saying they're from this certain country, go on YouTube, look up, let's say you're talking to a man, he says he's from Latvia and he has an accent. Go on YouTube and look up people from Latvia speaking English and just listen to the accents of people who are actually from there, and you can hear that it doesn't sound the same. Then you're likely talking to a scammer who's using just an excuse to try and hide his true accent. And too many people don't go on YouTube and look up what does a Nigerian person sound like? What does a person from Ghana sound like? What does a person from South Africa sound like? And that's things you should do. So the accent, the voice, the how they announce certain words, they pronounce certain things. And then you'll know what to look out for. And there's just certain things that, like, say, a Nigerian man pronounces that you can identify. And if you educate yourself about it, then you'll know, you're talking to a scammer. And it's very important to learn about different languages and how people speak. And that's something that I tell people all the time. It takes you 5 minutes to go on YouTube and educate yourself about a certain country. Like if you're talking to a man from Sweden who says he's from Sweden, YouTube what someone from Sweden sounds like speaking English. There's tons of videos. And if it doesn't sound like that, then something's wrong, and that's the best way to tell. We have a couple more questions people have asked. Next one I have. I was talking to a man online for 5 months. He was the sweetest man ever. He sent me songs, poems, called me day and night. After 5 months of talking, he asked me for $4,000 to pay for his military replacement. When I told him no, he got nasty. A side to him I've never seen. He made threats to kill me and my children and to sexually assault me. How can a person turn so nasty so fast? I was shocked. It's really easy. Scammers invest in you. So if they invest 5 months of their time romancing you, sending you songs, telling you you're beautiful, you're the queen, whatever, and then they ask for money and you say no, they get angry because they've wasted all those months talking to you, hoping to get something from you, and they get nothing. And so they do turn nasty. We've had victims that have told us, hey, I've been talking to this man online. He's so sweet. He's so kind. He would never say these things. And then he asked for money. And I told him no. And he told me he was going to kill me and cut my children's heads off. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen victims go through this. They're desperate for money. Everything leading up until the question of money has been a game and it has been fake. They have been pretending to care about you, sending you Westlife songs and Celine Dion Titanic songs so they can win you over. That's not the true person that you're talking to. The true person you're talking to comes after they ask you for money. Talking to a scammer, and they get nasty. A lot of them do. A lot of them will just block you. A lot of them will tell you off. A lot of them will use manipulation and tell you that they're going to die if they don't get money. But a large majority of them will get nasty. They'll tell you off. They'll call you names. They'll tell you they know where you live. They're going to kill you, all kinds of things, because they're desperate. They want that cash. They want those gift cards, and they're angry that they've wasted time with you. So again, it comes down to if someone is threatening to kill you, just block them. Block them. Don't get scared. Don't give them money. Don't, cry. Just block them. They're most of the time, and I hate to break this to people because I've had a lot of victims, and Ann has as well, that are like ladies that are in their 50s and 60s, and they're, let's say, divorced, and they're talking to a man online, and they're like, oh, well, I told him romantic things, and I, did this for him, and I did that for him, and it, and we talked about marriage, and I told him all of my feelings, and then I turn around, I have to tell them, you were talking to a 19-year-old Nigerian boy, or you were talking to a 21-year-old boy from India. And they get really upset with me, and they're like, but I told him all these personal things. And I'm like, yes, and you have to realize you told all these personal things to a young kid who's probably as old as, your son or your grandson. And it happens. We had a victim a couple weeks ago who was in a romantic relationship, was going to marry a man. The photo was stolen of a Serbian politician, and the Serbian politician was in his 60s. The victim was in her 60s. She was sharing feelings for this man, and romantic feelings, and they were having very intimate conversations, as you do when you're in a relationship. And I come to find out it was a 13-year-old boy from Nigeria that she was talking to, that she was sharing intimate photos with, who was sharing intimate thoughts with, and she was mortified. And I said, a lot of them are young kids, and they're getting younger and younger. I've seen the youngest scammer is 9 years old, and he was scamming women. Most scammers, the oldest scammer I've ever met was 35. So they're usually generally between the ages of 18 and 25. That's like the biggest demographic for scammers. But keep in mind, that older man you're talking to could be a young boy. It happens very, very often. Gene, is it that poor in Africa that people do this for a living? It's actually, there are parts of Africa. If you've ever been to the continent of Africa, there's some beautiful countries. They are very poor. However, scammers who are online, who are chatting with you on their brand new phone, who are able to have the internet, because all these things cost money, electricity, the internet, they have bank accounts, they have apps, they have all these things, those things cost money. So the truly, truly poor people in Africa and places like Nigeria who need money are not online. They don't have electricity, they don't have toilets, they don't have the things that they need. Those are the poor people that need help. Scammers have the ability to get online. They have the newest iPhones, the newest shoes, the newest clothes, the newest jewelry, the nicest cars. They do it because they're making money doing it. You have an 18-year-old kid who's making $500,000 a year scamming women on the internet, and men. Why wouldn't they do it? Because people are falling for it. People are still becoming victims, and that's why they do it. It's big money, and it's a status symbol over there. To be a Yahoo boy, to be a G boy, it's a status symbol. Some countries, it's like a rock star, and that's why they do it. They do it because they're greedy and they want millions of dollars. A lot of them that get big money, they'll sit there and just throw the money in the air and celebrate and drink and all kinds of stuff. They're doing it because people are sending money, and that's the hard part of it. Do you know any scamming victims who were able to locate the scammers and have them prosecuted? Also, have any of the scammers who have been jailed had to repay their victims? Very far and few. There's a handful, and when I say a handful, I say like 3 or 4 that were turned over to the EFCC, and they were arrested because the victims, there was like 4 or 5 or 6 victims who lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They all turned in reports. The scammers were arrested, but the money, no. They weren't made to repay the money. Scammers will gobble up that money and spit it out, spending it faster than your head can turn. The minute that money hits their account, their Cash App, their hands, it's gone. They spend it on cars, houses, clothes, shoes. Scammers, especially scammers in a lot of West African countries, love Nike shoes and Adidas shoes, and they love the brand name stuff. And so, no, they don't pay it back. Most of them are jailed. A lot of them are jailed for a couple months, a couple years, and then they're back out again. So it's corruption in that country too. It depends on what country they're in. But, if we're speaking in terms of like West Africa, they're not going to get much jail time. I mean, we've seen some that have gotten a little bit. Hush Puppy, the guy that took billions of dollars from people, I mean, he's facing life in prison, but that's a big deal. Most of them get a couple of years, and that's kind of it, and it's very frustrating. Is there a new scam that is being used? What is this? I need glasses. 53.com. I'll have to look at it because I've never heard of it. I'll take a look at it after the video, and I'll see what it is. It's something I've never heard of, but I will look at it. I talked to two of them, and they said it was rough in Nigeria and Africa, but I'm glad I don't live there. You know what? It depends. I mean, I've had American friends that have gone to Ghana. I've had Australian friends that have actually bought property in Ghana, and it can be a beautiful country. Same with Nigeria. There's beautiful places in Nigeria. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of poverty, but there's corruption and poverty in every country. And I don't think that being poor is an excuse to scam and hurt people. Because I tell you what, I've had rough times in my life. I've been homeless in my life. I've had no place to live. I've been cold and hungry, but I never once ever scammed a person. And so when scammers say I do it because I'm poor, the reality is they're not. I mean, they're doing it because they're making money at it. And it's seen as a job in a lot of those countries as well. But there is corruption in Nigeria. I feel sorry for a lot of people in Nigeria because it is a screwed up country. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of bad things. But there's a lot of countries like that in Africa that are just, poor and underdeveloped. And no matter what they do, they can't get ahead. And I understand that. But at the same time, you can't take, and scam people. It's totally morally wrong. And I see the side of victims that have killed themselves because of these scammers, and scammers think it's funny. There was a lady that brought me a scammer and myself a couple weeks ago, and she only could send him $1,000, and he told her, "I'm worth more than that. You'll send me 10,000." He goes, "Don't insult me with $1,000." So there's some really nasty ones out there that thrive on having hundreds of thousands of dollars. I watch National Geographic, and scamming is big in Jamaica. It is. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Scamming is huge in Jamaica, but it's a different. I've only caught maybe one or two romance scammers using fake profiles. The majority of them are lottery scammers. They call you and say you've won the Publishers Clearinghouse or you've won the big blah, blah, blah lottery, Facebook lottery, and that. They do that. Betty had a chat with a Jamaican lottery scammer a couple of years ago, and that's what they do. They pretend that they're lottery representatives. And a lot of times the Jamaican scammers won't ask for tons of money. They'll ask for $100. They'll ask for $50. But they'll ask, 20 people for $100. That's quite a bit of money. They do it a little bit differently. And every country has different types of scammers. Like people tell me, oh, there's scammers in Europe. And there's scammers in Europe. There's, I've been to a lot of countries in Europe, and I've found in the Czech Republic, there's credit card skimmers. Romania, there's credit card scammers, ATM scammers. Places like Bulgaria, Serbia, there's different types of scammers. They do credit card scams, they do ATM scams, they do car scams. There's scammers in every country. They just do it all differently. And a lot of people ask me, why do you guys post so many Nigerians? Nigerian scammers tend to do romance scamming. And that's basically the base of our page, is we talk about romance scams. And I would say if we get 100 fake profiles in a day, sadly 90 of them are going to be scammers from Nigeria. And it's just unfortunate, but that's where they come from. If Anna and myself were doing a page on credit card scammers and ATM skimmers, we'd have scammers from Russia and the Czech Republic and Poland, because that's kind of what they do there. Every country has a regionalized type of scam that they do, really. Yeah, all over. Their scammers are all over. And it is all about the money. Sadly, my relationship with my mother became Extremely strained because my sister and I exposed that she was getting scammed by a Nigerian guy pretending to be someone else. She's continued anyway. That's really, it's hard. Excuse me. We've had victims, kids, come to us. We had a really nice lady for a lot of years came to us, and her dad was being scammed by scammers in Ghana. And they were using like typical porn star photos. And no matter what the family did, he didn't believe he was being scammed. And he ended up sending like everything he had, like close to $1 million in his assets to this scammer. And it was a female scammer from Ghana with, I think it was a guy as well. They were like maybe husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. They scammed this guy for years. And the daughter tried so hard to convince the father that he was being scammed, and he just wouldn't listen. He wouldn't pay attention. He didn't want to even listen to it. So it does happen. It's frustrating and it's hard. Sometimes the only thing you can do is, if it comes down to where they're losing a lot of money, especially with your parents, you can try and get power of attorney. You can deem them not mentally sound and take power of attorney and take over their money. But that's a long road and it's a hard road. So it's frustrating. I get it. It's very frustrating. It's sad, especially when a person loses everything to a scammer and they're like elderly. Elderly people need to be taken care of. Absolutely. I believe they're everywhere now since I've been in the group for scammers. They're everywhere. There's scammers everywhere. I mean, I have people yell at me and go, why don't you post American scammers? There are American scammers, but it depends on the type of scam. It just really depends on what kind of scam they're doing. But they're all over. There's scammers in every corner of the world, and they're doing all types of stuff. So, and that comes down to people say, why doesn't the government do something? And it's like, well, our country, at least in America right now, we're a total mess with the pandemic and everything that's going on and the political stuff that's going on. I don't get into politics, but there's a lot of bad stuff going on here, and we can't even help ourselves and our own people. So I think scamming and romance scams and things like that are like taking a back burner to all the stuff that's going on in the world. So we have a couple more questions that somebody asked, and I'll just cover these real quick. Next question somebody asked me was, would a scammer give an address in the United States to send things like a phone or money through the mail? Does this mean the scammer is an American? Why would they give me an American address? It's a good question. So scammers, what they do is, let's give an example. Let's say the scammer's in Ghana, and he's talking to a person in California, and he's talking to a victim in Florida, okay? And he's telling them all different stories. The scammer will have a victim in California, let's say, get a phone, buy a phone, or send some money. And he'll say, package it up and send it to my agent in Florida. That person in Florida will then send it forward to wherever the scammer is. What happens is the person in California will think they're sending the phone to a military agent, let's say, and the person in Florida thinks the person in California is a sister or a cousin to the military man they're talking to, and that she's to send this phone and stuff forward because he's peacekeeping in Ghana. So that's what happens is they use victims as money mules. They use them as package mules. Sometimes scammers give an address, an American address, just to give you an address. It doesn't mean they live there. It means that they just pick that address out of the air. They go to real estate sites. They go to places like Zillow and Realtor, and they just pick an address and say, that's where I live, and that's it. And a lot of times with empty houses, they'll give an address to an empty house because if you happen to send a card or a letter or a birthday card, the mailman will typically deliver it and it won't come back to you. And so that makes them look more legit as well. How does this scammer set up a bank account in America? Are there accounts created by money mules and sent to the scammers, or are they scammer bank accounts? It's both. So what'll happen, sometimes a scammer will romance a person and they'll ask this person for their social security number and their ID. They will open a bank account in a victim's name online. I can open a bank account right now if I wanted to. And they will set it up and they will use that bank account as money mule, and they'll transfer that money from that bank account to their account or to PayPal or whatever they want to do. They move the money around. And it can be a victim's bank account. And that's how they set them up. They do it online. Like Bank of America, you can go online right now and open a bank account with Bank of America. I did it online myself because I have a credit card with them. So I have a bank account with them as well. Took 5 minutes. And also they do use people's accounts as money mules. They tell them that they've won a prize or they've gotten money, and they will go ahead and use their account. Or they'll say, I'll pay your bills, give me your bank information, and people do it. And then the scammer just starts using their bank accounts. So that's kind of how they do it. But it does happen. Have you ever spoken to a person that ends up being a legitimate person looking for love? Yes. I'll tell a quick story because it's really, really funny. I was on Tagged as Betty, and I met this guy, and he was from like, I don't know, I think Texas or something. And I didn't know the photo, but he started chatting with me, and we only talked online for like a couple minutes. He told me he was in business, and it was just the way that he typed it was kind of odd. And I thought, this is probably a fake. And he told me he really liked my Betty profile. He really wasn't, he loved her photos, whatever. And so I said, well, I'll call you. And so I started recording it thinking it would be a scammer voice chat because he said he was a widow. He said he had a grown daughter that lived across the country in like New York. And I was like, wow, this is really kind of like a scammer story. Ended up calling him, and he was a real person. And I talked to him for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And the more that he talked, I realized he was real. And I just told him, I said, I've got to go. I got to get some sleep. Have a good night. And I hung up on him, and I blocked his profile, and I blocked his number. And I went away. I didn't, continue talking to him. But yeah, I thought he was a fake, and he was actually a real person. And it was kind of funny. But I didn't chat with him long enough to check it. He just wanted to call on the phone. And so I did it. It was funny. Hi, Brenda. Good to see you. Lisa, I'm just kind of reading your comment. Things are not bad in Nigeria. Nigeria, the youth do not want to work. They all want microwave, quick money, and then the girls support them. If you're in Nigeria doing a normal 6 to 6 work, they see you as a failure. Some girls, women in Nigeria, like online fraudster boys because they know how to make quick money. That's true. I have a friend that lives in Lagos, and she kind of said a similar thing. It's like a rock star status there to be a scammer. It's kind of like in America, would you, if you were looking for love, if and you wanted quick money, and would you want to date someone that's working at McDonald's, or date somebody that's making big money doing something else? And so it's superficial, but it comes down to money. You're right. You're absolutely right. Told me to stop talking to us about him because he didn't want any problems. I continued posting on his Facebook page, screenshots, links, proof of his BS, until he shut it down. Then he moved her to WhatsApp. She just ended up lying to us, saying she was wrong, we were right, but secretly continues talking to him, but thinks we don't know. I don't like liars. I just prefer to keep my distance. It's tough, and scammers are so manipulative to people, and they'll make you believe that your family is against you. I've seen it happen quite a few times. They will actually tell a victim, oh, your daughter's just trying to get your money, your daughter's terrible. They're manipulative as hell. It's hard, it's frustrating. If you're talking to a man online and he asks you for money, block him immediately. Online scam, 80% Nigerian boys is their job. It's tough. It's like I'm torn because of Nigeria. I have friends from Nigeria that are so smart, and they're so awesome. I have a friend who's a nurse from Nigeria. She's a legit nurse. She has 2 beautiful daughters, and she is like a super awesome, cool lady. I adore her. She's like the best. But even she tells me, she says, our country has a bad rap because of all the scammers. And she said, there's legit great Nigerian people, but unfortunately, scammers have ruined everything. And she's right. There's a lot of great Nigerian people, a lot of great people from Ghana. I know people from Ghana that are brilliant. Same with Nigerians, they're very smart. But it's dangerous too, because a lot of the scammers are smart. They create websites, they do coding, they do all these things, and that's how they operate. So unfortunately, it's kind of how it is. It's sad. Good night, anyone who's leaving. Thanks for joining us. Brenda, did you find employment yet? No. Actually, I'm due for some back surgery, and so I'm not working right now. I'm doing some stuff online, but I'm due for some back surgery pretty soon, so I'm not back to work yet. Hopefully in the new year I will be, though. No real man would allow himself to be stuck in a country he don't want to be. Yeah, that's true. And men who travel on business have ways to get home. If they're traveling on business and you get stuck, they have ways to get home. They don't need your money. Hi, Sky. I think you do wonderful jobs trying to make us aware of the great service. We all need to be aware. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your email today. I think I replied to your email this afternoon, but I really appreciate it. Thanks, Donna. Merry Christmas to you guys. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks for all you guys' support and all that you do. I really appreciate it. Nigerians are smart. They know all the time zones of their victims. They do. They Google it. I mean, it's easy enough. I pretend to be a 60-year-old lady from Tennessee, and I Google the time and stuff all the time. So it's easy. So we have one more question that somebody asked that wrote in, and then I'll answer some that you have in the chat, and then we'll end this Q&A for the last Q&A we're going to do for our December. I will be back tomorrow night, just doing an informal one calling scammers as Betty. And so we'll have some Christmas fun. I'm going to try to sing Christmas carols to some of the scammers tomorrow. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock Pacific time, Los Angeles time, which is where my time zone is based, I'll be back on YouTube calling scammers, and we'll have some fun. This was more of like a formal Q&A that we were going to do on Facebook, but Facebook didn't work. So one last question somebody asked was, what's the quickest way to tell if a profile is fake? I mean, within minutes. I don't want to waste time. So if you're on social media, like let's give example Facebook, the quickest way you can tell, look at the photo, Google the photo, send it through yandex.com, check the image. Look at the name. Look at the URL. If you're talking to a man named Bob Smith and his URL is Wizzy Chizzy Boy Nigeria, then you're talking to a scammer. Look at who likes the photo. If you're talking to a 50-year-old military commander and 15 Nigerian boys like the photo, you're talking to a scammer. If you're talking to a military man online and 30 women from Thailand like the photo and nobody else, you're talking to a scammer. Those are the quickest, easiest ways. Look at the about section. Where are they from? Texas City, Texas, California City, California. That's a huge red flag. Is the profile new? Is it only been out for a couple months or a couple weeks? It's likely a scammer. Look at the about section on Facebook. Are you talking to a 45-year-old muscle-bound military man and his likes are Nigerian soap operas? You're talking to a scammer. That's the easiest way I can tell you to do it quickly. That's the quickest way. So thanks for your questions that you guys wrote in. Brenda, Brenda, I need. I've got 7 herniated discs in my back, and I've got my collarbone and part of my vertebrae are all collapsing in my neck. So I need a lot of surgery. So I'm looking into doing it hopefully in January. We'll see what the insurance says. My mom is doing okay. Thursday, she goes to the oncologist to find out how far gone this cancer is, and I don't think it's going to be a good prognosis. So I appreciate your thoughts and prayers. So thanks a lot. Debbie, do you still have your wig? I do have my wigs. I have wigs and I have masks. So I was going to do a Christmas song this year. I'm going to look into it. I really honestly haven't been in the Christmas mood because of all that's been going on this year, but I will try to do a Christmas song for Betty, as she does one every year for the last few years. So yes, I do have my wig with my Christmas lights in it. I met a scammer who used his love of God as a way to build trust for 6 months. Then he tried to make me a mule for him. They do that. A lot of scammers are very religious. They go to church on Sunday and they praise God for sending victims. It's kind of a weird way they look at it, but they do. A lot of scammers are very well versed in the Bible or in the Quran. They're very smart. They're very religious, believe it or not. So it's not unusual. What are some scams being run here in the USA? Thank you, Brenda. There's a lot of different ones. I've found a lot of people in the U.S. are money muling for scammers that are overseas because of the pandemic and because of unemployment and hard times. A lot of people are letting scammers use their bank accounts. They're picking up money for scammers. I see more money mules in the U.S. more than anything else, and package scams. The U.S. is huge for package scams, Amazon scams, porch pirating, accepting packages for scammers on their behalf. That's huge here in the U.S. more than any other type of scam. So that's the biggest ones that I see. And credit card. They take people's credit cards and order food. That happens quite a bit. Gene, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be back on here calling scammers as Betty. So 23 hours from now, I will be back online here. So thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas to you too. Appreciate it. Scammers are able to go to church in their best suits that victims, and they do. You know, I had a victim a couple years ago say to me that the scammer she spoke to, the fake profile she spoke to, was a scammer, prayed with her and read the Bible and quoted the Bible. And she said, "I'm shocked." And I said, "Don't be shocked. You know, in scammer countries, Christianity is huge, church is huge, so is mosques and praying and in the Quran and Islam. All of that is very huge in these scammer countries, and we had scammers that will go to church in their best suit that they got stealing money from you and pray to God and thank God for sending victims. It happens all the time, unfortunately. Can a person get hacked if they don't press any of their links? I mean, anyone can get hacked. I mean, it's not common. People are like, "Oh, he said his profile was hacked." And it's like, that's not a common thing. Like I've been online for 20 some years and I've never been hacked. The best thing you can do to not be hacked is if you have antivirus, you have Malwarebytes, you have Norton antivirus, you have some good antivirus software, you won't get hacked. And of course, don't click on any links you don't know. But if you don't click on a link, you're more than likely not having any kind of malware or anything. Just be careful of what sites you visit. Don't click on links someone sends you. You should be okay. That's why they always want a God-fearing woman. Well, yes, and if you've ever been to countries in Africa like Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Kenya, Ethiopia, they are extremely religious. And they God-fearing is a popular word. Like they want a God-fearing person. To an American, it sounds so archaic to say that because it's not something we typically say every day. It's not, I want a God-fearing woman. We don't say that here. But in places like Ethiopia and Somalia and different countries, God-fearing is a normal thing to look for in a person. Are you God-fearing? Are you a Christian? Or, so it sounds weird to us, but it's typical for a lot of those countries. Some people I give to Yandex or TNI, they aren't there. What gives on that? So it's really easy. If you Google a photo and it doesn't show up, or you Yandex or TNI it and it doesn't show up, it doesn't mean that it's not a fake. Scammers are stealing photos of everyday people that won't show up in search sites. So, for example, let's say you're talking to somebody using Dr. Pinto's photo. You can throw that through Yandex and you'll get thousands of results. You'll get fake profiles. You'll get Dr. Pinto's videos, his real profile, all kinds of stuff. But if a scammer is using a photo of a guy named Tom who lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas and works at Walmart, that photo is not going to show up in a search site because it hasn't been used a whole lot in scams. It hasn't been used on a lot of fake profiles, and we don't know who he is. It's just an everyday person. Scammers are starting to use photos of just everyday people. They'll go into Facebook and search the name, Tom Johnson. They'll find a Tom Johnson that lives in Tampa, Florida that works at a Walmart. They'll take his photos and use them, and when you try to search them, nothing comes up because they're not known photos. And smart scammers are doing that now. So we tell people is it comes down to paying attention to what the person's telling you, not so much why the photo doesn't show up in search. Will Betty and her sister Bardine be having any more of their legendary parties? An antibacterial party, maybe? Yes, we will be having more parties. And I apologize, I haven't been doing a lot of Betty video voice chats lately. I just been dealing with a lot of personal stuff, so I haven't had that humor that I need to do it. But she will be having more parties, and of course her Christmas party will be coming up as well as her New Year's party. So I think Christmas is bringing out more scammers than usual. Will they back off after the holidays? It slows down a little bit in January, but then what the scammers do is they do the year hustle, where in January they say they'll hustle harder in 2021 than they did in 2020. So there'll be a little bit of a lull between Christmas and New Year's, and then mid-January you'll start getting hit with a whole bunch of new scammers. And that's kind of how it does. We're busiest on our page between now and Christmas Day, and then from Christmas Day on until New Year's it's pretty slow. So yeah, there's a little bit of a lull. I met a lot from Delta State. Some say Delta State is the worst. There's good and bad everywhere in Nigeria. I mean, it's like anywhere in the world, there's good areas and bad areas. But like I said before, if a scammer is able to talk to you online and he has the internet and he has a phone and he has a computer and he has electricity, he's not suffering. I talked to a scammer one day. He said he had no food, he was starving, he hadn't eaten in 3 days, and that his whole family was going to die unless I sent him $500. And I said, "How are you talking to me?" And he says, "I have an iPhone 10 or an iPhone 12, whatever the latest iPhone is." And I said, "Why don't you sell your iPhone then if you're so hungry?" And he said, "No, I don't want to. I need my phone." I said, "Why do you need your phone?" He goes, "So I can scam people." I said, "Well, if you're really, really hungry and you're dying of hunger, you would sell your phone. You wouldn't stay on it." So they're not that bad off. Just something to think about. My scammer got a hold of my personal pics of a Texas state representative. Yeah, they use a lot of politicians as well. They do. They use a lot of politicians from places like, Kosovo and Serbia and places that most Americans don't know who the politicians are, like Romania. I didn't know a Romanian soap opera actor was being used, and a friend of mine from Romania said, "Oh, that's blah blah blah. How could you not know that?" And I'm like, "Not Romanian." So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate the nice words. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I'll probably end this Q&A because we've been on for a little over an hour. And again, just to let you know, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, LA time, I will be doing a live stream here on YouTube, and we'll be calling scammers as Betty and Kyle and maybe Bardine. I've been working on a Bardine voice, so we'll try to do that. And I've actually had some page friends reach out and say they'll be willing to do Bardine as well. So we're going to try and do that. But I appreciate you guys. If I don't see you guys tomorrow night, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Let's hope that 2021 is a better year for all of us, because honestly, this year's been like one of the worst years of my life. But hopefully next year will be good. But thanks everyone for joining us. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. Thanks again. Make sure you subscribe if you'd like. We try to make a new video every few days, and I will be chatting as Betty tomorrow night, 7 o'clock right here. We'll call some scammers. I've got a doctor that I've been talking to on Tagged who wants me to call him. So we'll hopefully do that tomorrow. So God bless you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. Be safe. Stay COVID-free. And hopefully all of us have a better year next year. Yes, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/scamming-scammers. If you want to donate, you don't have to. We just put it up there for if you want to. So thanks, you guys. We'll catch you on the flip side tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll have some new educational videos and victim story videos coming out soon. Thanks again. I love you guys. Much love to everybody. And Ann says hello, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night for some Betty. Take care. Bye.